Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Big Family Homestead's Homestead Friends program, and I have a very special treat for you today. I am here with Tori, the Permaculture Homestead channel on YouTube. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing good, man. How about yourself, Brad?
Oh, brother, I'm living the dream. Look at me. I mean, dang, with a face like this. No, 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 no. But anyway, so we are going to be talking permaculture. We're going to be talking things that are medicinal, things that you can use for eats, and you grow this stuff right in your backyard. Is that correct?
That is correct, man. Permaculture is very simply, it just means permanent agriculture. It's not monoculture. It's not row and column style planting. It's companion planting. It's mixed planting. It's a lot of things, really. It's even a culture of mind, body, and spirit. It encompasses the whole deal, really. It all started out by Bill Mollison, too. If you want to go do a little research on Bill Mollison, he's basically the father of permaculture.
Well, how did you get into it?
Uh, Good question. Really kind of probably a lot like everybody else. Searching on YouTube, I started out just doing simple vegetable gardening, and then that matured into wanting to grow more perennial crops. And then that matured into, wanting to do natural pest control, natural farming. And really, it was my searches on YouTube that really grew me into permaculture. Guys like Jeff Lawton, Ben Falk, these are guys that are doing it big, and it's their job, really. And I've learned a lot from YouTube, to be very honest. And then just getting books and reading more about permaculture as I went through it.
Now, did you find it was a difficult jump from regular basic backyard gardening? I grow my tomatoes in rows and I grow my this in rows. Did you find it was a jump or was it easy?
At first, it's a little tough. It takes some setup, and it certainly has some delay gratification to it. But it was easier. It's less maintenance. It's lower maintenance once you get established. And the companion planting idea behind it really helps with the pest control, helps with plants and their symbiotic relationships with each other. Most horticultural specialists would probably have you believe that nature is competitive, that plants like to compete with each other. But permaculturists know that nature is cooperative. So plants have symbioses with other plants. And the most simple example I can say is carrots and tomatoes. They love working with each other. Carrots, they have an exudate, and the tomatoes soak up that exudate, and it helps the overall health and vigor of the tomato plant. So that's just a basic idea of companion planting right there.
That's really interesting too because I'm just new to the whole permaculture idea, but last season, we planted a bunch of carrots in our tomato bed just because I didn't want to waste the bed.
Yeah, smart.
And I was just like, well, I don't want to waste the bed. And they were huge. Everything worked out a lot better. I mean, until the wind blew it over and took out all of our trellises. I got to figure out a better trellising system. But yeah, oh man, that tomato trellises are the bane of my existence. But now describe for somebody, what does it look like in a closed system, like a backyard? What would you have in this system?
Well, in my backyard, I have everything. And to be very honest, I don't respect the spacing that most people would tell you. Oh, put your trees 20 feet apart, put your vegetables, the square foot gardening. I don't respect that spacing whatsoever. So my gardening style might make a lot of people cringe. But I plant trees basically right on top of each other. All of my trees are 6 feet apart. And in between them, I'm growing companion plants, plants that are beneficial to those trees, things like comfrey. That's a big one for permaculture guys. Yeah, it's a deep tap rooted. It brings up nutrients from the subsoil, and when it dies back in, and when it dies back in the fall, it provides more organic material to the tree. So I've got rows of trees that are different. I don't have rows of, one species of tree. I try to do mixed tree plantings. That way, if maybe there's a failure with one, my whole crop's not going to fail. And then I use pioneer plants, things like blackberry to break up the soil. Blackberries and trees, they occupy different soil strata, so the trees have deeper rooted systems than say a blackberry plant, which maybe has a shallow root system. Travels along the surface, it breaks up the soil a little bit. It's a pioneer plant. It helps the soil grow throughout the year and build. We're building soil basically.
Well, now let's talk about yields. Now, describe just a little bit the size of your backyard and what kind of amounts of food you're getting with this method.
Great question. Right now we are in the suburbs. We don't have a whole lot of land like you. Our yard is
1 acre.
That's more than me. We got a 50 feet by 40 feet, which gives us 2,000 square yards of growing space. And we've gotten some fruit tree yield. This is really our second year doing it. I was able to get some fig production last year. I'm getting a lot of berry production. I mean, usually berries produce first year around, so I'm getting lots of elderberry. I'm getting lots of raspberry, a lot of blackberry, beautyberry, a lot of strawberry, and lots of, we got blueberry out there as well. So all the berries are producing year one. Year two, we're starting to get the fruit production and fruit set. So I expect to have plums, peaches, Asian pears, certainly more figs. I've done some new plantings this year, some persimmons. They're a little hardier, a little more hardy, a little more pest resistant. And that's kind of where we're at right now. Of course, I do all the vegetable gardening in between the rows of trees, and I successionally do the vegetables. So I've already put out squash for this year and green beans and stuff like that. And I'll consecutively continue to sow like that throughout the year.
Well, now, just a question. Now, if you let's say that you have, say, a family of 4, okay. 2 adults, 2 kids. How large of an area do you think you would need to get most of your vegetable matter from?
Well, 2,000 square feet seems to be good for us right now, and we do have an abundance of greens. I mean, we can't eat all the collards and all the kale and all the salad greens that we're growing. I could see that if we had 2 kids, we could produce all of our greens on site. I have 2 hives this year. With 1 hive last year, I was able to save up 5-6 gallons of honey, which we're only just now starting to finish. So that's lasted a while. Berry production, I expect to get a little better this year. And we raise rabbits too. I know you're raising rabbits as well. We do raise rabbits for meat. You could raise rabbits on 2,000 square foot. It was a little tough for us to do, only because I did a cost analysis. And for us, on the small square footage, I was almost putting in more money in the feed than what I was getting back in return for the rabbits. However, I've learned this year how to step that up a little bit by growing cover crops and supplementally feeding rabbits with cover crops. So
one
grow quite a bit.
One thing that we actually do is we will take their cages and make them like little chicken tractors in the yard.
Yep, I've seen your chicken tractors. They're awesome.
Tag them along, and then that way, honestly, our feed costs went down by almost half.
And your wheatgrass system is something that I am really jealous of. I love your successional wheatgrass system. I mean, it's great, and really, I should be doing something like that. How much did you say a bag of wheatgrass is?
Yeah, $12.
$12, yeah. I mean,
it lasts a long time. And the thing I like about it too is that not only do you give the rabbits the grass, the mat that's left over, the chickens will eat it.
Yep. I mean, I got chickens too, of course. We got eggs for days. Yep. I had to cut back. We had too many chickens, so we're down to 3 chickens. Wow. But yeah, I'm gonna get 4 total. I think 4 is a good number for us. 5 was too much. 3 is not enough. So 4 is going to be.
Give away the eggs, and you got happy neighbors, man. Yeah, that's
well. Yeah. And that's how you make money. And I've bartered with eggs as well. Once we started to get a surplus of things, I really started bartering, which is the Indian way. Really, I've gotten loads of. What is the
best barter deal you ever got?
A load of compost for 4 eggs.
4 eggs? Wow, that's a cranking deal, man. You must have some Middle Eastern trader in your blood.
I certainly got the good end on that one. And in fact, I got another load of compost for a small jar of honey and 2 eggs as well.
Who
So,
wants 2 eggs? How did that happen? I only
well,
need 2. No. 12 is too
that's right.
much.
I don't know. I don't know. Hey, that's what he asked for. That's what I had, so he got it.
Cool. Well,
He was a neighbor friend.
there you go. Let's talk about
Yeah.
cost right now because you have the experience of going from zero to a system that is working for your family. What kind of cash outlay did it take, and how long did it get you, or did it take you to get to where you wanted to be?
Well, it took 2 years to get me where I am right now, and I can see now that we're starting to grow abundance, and the system is starting to get established in such a way that it's being very low maintenance. I don't have to water anymore. The swale digging that I've done for water harvesting is really replenishing the aquifers below our home. Um, 2 years is good, and I'll tell you what, if I could start again, just to give everybody a tip, there's some things I wouldn't do. I wouldn't plant things like the peaches and the apples. Although I love peaches and apples, they're not well suited to my environment, and I wish I did a little more research up front to know that. So as I've gone along, I've started planting more native, wild edibles on my property. Things that grow naturally in my zone, Zone 8, South Carolina, and that are disease tolerant, pest tolerant, things like mulberries, persimmons, elderberry. I mean, these things are all very pest and disease free and very low maintenance. I do find myself on a pretty continuous spray schedule with my trees, and I am having to spray. I'm having to use natural pesticides to keep away things like the codling moth off of my apples. Oriental fruit moth is a big one in our zone. Our zone is just totally buggy. I basically live in a subtropical temperate forest, so it's very buggy like Florida, but we get frosts a couple times a year.
Wow. So
Yeah.
now overall cash outlay. If you had to just in your brain go, okay, it took me X years, which you're saying 2 years, and if you had to go, because we had to buy our trees, I think we've got 24 fruit trees right now, but we're trying to eliminate the whole idea of a yard as something that you put grass on, because I think that's so stupid. As a matter of fact, there's a channel out there on YouTube that approached me that we're going to probably do something in the future. And the reason why I actually went and looked at this young lady's channel was because the name was so ballin'. It's yards are dumb.
They are dumb. I agree. I totally agree.
So we've got a lot of money invested in these trees, and I know how costly that can get, especially if you're not getting them from an exchange. But
Yep.
describe what you think you might have in terms of an investment.
Good question, because I probably don't have that back yet in yield. However, I see this year that I could start to gain that back. Once again, I made all my mistakes early, so my first year, as I look out there and think about it and look at the trees that I've planted, along with all the peripheral things that went with it, probably about $500 year one. And then after that, I got smart and started planting native edibles, things that I could walk out in the woods and find. I started tip layering my blackberries, propagating them in the field, so I could buy one blackberry plant and basically turn it into 3 or 4 by tip layering them in
Tell me
my
what that
yard.
is, because I don't know what tip layering is.
Layering, great question. So most everybody knows the blackberry grows up in a big long cane. Well, if you just turn that cane right back into the ground, the tip there will root up. And then what you can eventually do is cut the blackberry in half. So now you have a mother plant and then a daughter cloned plant.
Wow.
So I've been doing
cool.
Right. So I've been doing that over the past 2 years with just the 3 blackberries that I bought, and I've been able to have a large blackberry patch now.
You know what I'm going to be doing tomorrow? I'm going out in the back where I've got 3 plants, and that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Yeah, you could just take the tip of one of them, stick it in the ground, and wait. I mean, it takes a while, but you'll know when it's rooted, and you'll be able to cut it right off of that mother plant, and now you got 2 blackberry plants.
Ain't that something? And you can kind of manage where they're going to go.
That's big one. Yeah, big time for sure. Yes.
Yeah, man, that's a well. There's there. Hey, YouTube family, look, that is worth the price of admission already. You need to pause the video right now, go over to Tori's channel, open a new window, and just hit subscribe, because if this is the kind of info you're getting, you're going to want to be there, right? Right. So
There's a lot of, yeah, there's a lot. Too much to go over in 45 minutes, but we can gloss over quite a bit for sure.
absolutely. So talk to me about comfrey, because I have the blessing of I guess you could call him a redneck wise man in my past. Who I met this guy. His name is Shannon, and he's an absolute genius. He's a backwoods genius, and he turned me on to comfrey for our goats. And he said he also said they call it knit bone in Appalachian. So tell people about this wonder plant, because it's all about the taproot.
It is about the taproot. The taproot goes very, very deep, a lot deeper than most trees or any other plants. And like I said, comfrey is a nutrient miner, so it's going to mine nutrients from deep in the subsoil where trees can't get it. It'll bring those nutrients up to the surface, into the leaves, and then you can use the leaves as a mulch. You can simply chop and drop the leaves right onto your plant where it's planted. They'll compost basically on site. You can add them to your compost pile. It helps heat it up. It is called knit bone. It's good for your internal organs, which is it's probably really good for animals. I think it helps with worms as well, but it'll strengthen their internal organs. It strengthens your bones. It's used as a poultice for humans. They say don't eat it. I've seen sources that say it's okay to eat it in small doses. Do your own research, experiment on your own. I don't eat it. I like it for the green material that I get out of it. However, if I ever got shot with a gun, I certainly would stick a bunch of comfrey in there.
Well, and honey. Honey is very, very good for healing skin issues.
Yeah, certainly. Oh, yeah, certainly.
So let's actually take a little turn right now. Let's talk medicinal plants, because that is something that I personally am woefully not as informed as I need to be, and we've kind of taken that route where try to do one thing and get adequate at it, and then get somewhat knowledgeable at it, and then add something on, rather than trying to do 10 things at once. And I think medicinal plants is next on the list. So give me the 411, baby.
Well, I'll tell you what, you bring up a good point. Like, if I knew what I was getting into when I started homesteading, wow, I didn't know I was going to be an apiculturist to know everything about bees. I didn't know I was going to be a horticulturist. I didn't know I was going to have to be an entomologist and know everything about bugs.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was going to have to be a veterinarian so that I could take care of my animals. But when you go down the homesteading path, you're going to find that you have to know a lot about a lot of things. And the good thing is it's all useful knowledge. I mean, it's not dumb knowledge. It's not banker knowledge. It's not putting ones and zeros in a computer. This is real life knowledge that these are real skills that we've lost touch with. I grow a lot of medicinal herbs here, and I grow them right underneath my trees, literally, and they enjoy the shade of the trees during the summer, which is when they're putting on most of their growth. I grow things like thyme, lemon balm, tons. I'm growing poppies right now. Now, nothing illegal. However, it's nice to have that option. But we grow a lot. We grow a lot of herbs, medicinal herbs, and we process them in different ways. The elderberry is my favorite. I know you know that. I've actually got some elderberry canes for you. They're going to be coming, I promise.
It's double dog dare, baby. Double dog dare.
Right. Elderberry has antiviral properties. So you can make a syrup with it by boiling them up, adding a little bit of honey and cloves, and you got yourself an antiviral medicine for anything. You can make a tincture with it. You can mix the berries with alcohol. Some people don't drink, so once again, you can do the syrup too. Thyme is for bronchial problems. You got a cough, you got some congestion. You can make a tincture with thyme. You can just make teas with thyme and get the same effect. Lemon balm is anti-anxiety. It really calms the nervous system. Same thing with chamomile. Chamomile calms the nervous system. So if you're feeling a little high-strung and anxious, get on that lemon balm and mint. Mint is great for digestive problems. My favorite mix of tea is a lemon balm mint, and thyme. So I get anti-anxiety, I get relief from stomach problems, and if I got a cough or a cold, it takes care of that too. So you can really start stacking your herbs once you start to learn their medicinal properties in a way that you can really concoct your own teas and medicines with what you got.
You know, I don't know where the quote came from, but let your food be your medicine and your medicine be your food. It rings true. And the more that I learn about the food that we specifically grow, it's amazing to me how the body was created and how it is designed to be healed by what we put in its environment, inside it, around it. And it's because we even just recently, some friends at church, they were saying, their kid had real problems with lactose this and lactose that, but they agreed to. And I just said, look, we don't process our milk. Our milk is raw, and they tried it out, and all of the lactose, quote air quotes, lactose issues were no longer issues, and the kid could have the milk as long as it wasn't processed. You know.
You bring up a strong point. You know, not only are we over-medicating ourselves, we're over-medicating our farm animals. Big Pharma is really trying to take over right now. I'm in med school. I'm doing physical therapy, and they're teaching us about these biological agents. They're teaching us about how antibiotics aren't really working anymore, superbugs, they talk about them. So these kind of things is what wanted me to get back to our roots, was what you're talking about here. Let's just get back to where we started, which was the earth. You know, we used to eat herbs, and there was some truth behind the healing effects and the healing power of herbs and plants in general.
Well, and once again, just going back, our bodies are designed to fix themselves. That's how that we were designed. And, you know, to have the idea that genetically modified organisms, that to me is absolute garbage. And I don't want to go I want to stay topic focused, but the idea that we can't even as a society demand that these food producers at least label what's on them is insanity to me. I mean, even Europe's come to their senses and they have to label it. And I just, you know, it's power and money, money and power, Monsanto, you know, all of that nonsense. But we who produce our own foods don't have that issue. I mean, yeah, you got to be watching out for water, and you got to filter your water. You got to make sure that you're not buying tainted seeds and that kind of stuff. But I think it's absolutely the most healthful way that you can treat your family.
I totally agree, and you know, that's kind of why we started homesteading. We wanted to take control of what we're putting into our body, one, but we wanted to be part of the solution, you know, and getting stuck on Big Pharma and buying the milk that they're selling us, it's supporting those companies, it's supporting that consciousness, and we just wanted to be part of the solution and, you know, have a solution-based garden in our backyard. And permaculture, I say it all the time to everybody. People think I'm crazy, but permaculture can solve all the world's problems. It really can. Water problems, you know, water harvesting, bringing the water tables back up, food insecurity for people. I mean, permaculture can fix all of those things. The idea of money, I mean, we could just make money obsolete. If everybody had a permaculture garden, we'd be trading back and forth, you know. If some people do things better than others, I do things better than you.
Big Brother is listening, bro. You don't want to be stepping on their game. Their game's like, no. We have monopoly on control and power.
Well, it's nice to be a homesteader and take some control and responsibility. And once again, with that comes a lot. Like I said, you have to be an entomologist. You have to be an herbologist. You have to basically know everything. But the good thing is that it's very useful knowledge. It's not useless knowledge.
Well, now let's kind of round things out here. But before we get to the end, what are the steps for a beginner? Because it can be overwhelming, and it certainly is. And the thing I found out is it's not overwhelming in the beginning because you don't realize how little you know and how much you're going to need to know until all of a sudden you start getting into it. So speak to the beginner. Somebody's interested. How do I do this?
Step one is just don't be intimidated. and realize that you don't know anything. And that's probably the hardest step for most people, to really just sit back and say, you know what, I don't know everything. And a lot of people get hung up on that. A lot of people get hung up on that. I'm not going to know it all. I don't know it all. I continually learn. The best thing to do is just to do it. There's ain't nothing to it but to do it. Just go out and start small. Maybe start a small vegetable bed. Learn about companion planting with vegetables. Once you figure out how some vegetables work with each other, step it up a notch. Go to some perennials. Find some trees. Maybe I can find a tree that grows well with comfrey, or some blackberries that grow well with trees. You just start small and then level it up from there. I didn't know anything about butchering a rabbit, and I learned a lot last year. I never butchered an animal in my life. And once again, I had to be my own butcher. It really put food into perspective for me, though. I find myself eating less meat. I find myself really looking at labels and seeing what's in food. Start small. Start small with herbs and vegetables, and then grow from there when it comes to the gardening. And then when it comes to animal husbandry, get some chickens. Chickens are really easy. They're low maintenance. Anybody can keep chickens in a small little area. They're sufficient on their own. You give them a little bit of water and a little bit of feed, and they're fine. And then step it up from there. Maybe get some rabbits. You know, the level of care that a rabbit needs is not as much as a dog.
No.
It's not as much as a cat.
No.
So things really aren't as hard as many people think they are. It's just ain't nothing to it but to do it.
You know, and
when you really get advanced, then you can start thinking about bees.
Bees are the great equalizer in the in the farming world, because you can be doing it for 20 years and think you know your stuff and then lose them all over something stupid. And that's one of those things where I think the lifelong beekeepers realize they don't know it all.
No, certainly no. And it's a humbling experience, and I think I like that about the whole permaculture experience. It's very humbling, and we should all be humbled anyway. The moment you put on that ego of I know it all, you've lost, you failed, and you've instantly set yourself up for failure right there. So to just accept reality and understand that we don't know it all is a great first starting point.
Amen, brother. Well, listen, folks, if you like what you're seeing, and I hope you do, because every time I talk to Tori, I get some new bit of information. And don't forget about that the blackberry. What was the word?
Tip layering.
Tip layering. That's worth the cost of admission. Go over to Tori's channel, the Permaculture Homestead. Check it out. If you like it, subscribe. If you don't like it, come and tell me that I was wrong for having them on the comment section down below. And so there you have it. You have the final word, sir.
Certainly. I want to give a couple shout outs to some people who have been very supportive of me lately. One of them is Dirt Patch Heaven. Thank you so much, Julianne, for your Spotlight Sunday. That was awesome. I want to give Joe, Homesteadonomics. You just had a chat with him. He gave me a shout out. He's a great guy. And the last thing I want to say is I was at your Sunday yesterday. And everybody suggested that you go out and get 628 Dirt Rooster on the horn. I think he's the next guy you should interview. He is a beekeeping legend out there on YouTube. And I've watched this guy go from 2,000 subscribers to 22,000 almost overnight. I mean, he's amazing, and he knows everything about bees. So you would probably have a really good time talking to him. Dirt Rooster, I think he's your next guy, man. You might want to reach out to him.
I will. I absolutely will. So I'm Brad with the Big Family Homestead. Tori, thank you.
No problem, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Have an amazing day, kids. Bye-bye.
God bless.